I will talk to you about the development of this framework. I think it's some delay on the development. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Now, so as I said, our journey for developing this framework started with an open science survey that have been run through EELISA universities. And we have focused on 4 pillars, and also taking into account 10 open science dimensions that we have see here, like citizen science, open education, research management, fair data, and also you can see here the perspective of importance among the ELISA alliance of different open science dimension, and also the implementation at the level of implementation at the start of the project. So you see some areas, some open science dimension was, I don't know, better developed than other. For instance, we can see open access, it's much better developed than open evaluation, for instance. So this was the initial situation that we assess, yeah, at our starting journey. Let me change the slide. So this framework basically consisted in two main components. We propose a methodological toolkit and open science strategic guide. Basically these two documents allow for the university to establish their strategies, to create their policies, mechanisms and resources to basically to increase their open science level. As a starting, as a roadmap, we have defined a roadmap to enable EELISA University to adopt this open science change, because it's clearly it's a change, institutional change. It's basically it's a transformational change across the university. So basically, we start from inputs and assess the impact of the adoption of open science, and also we can I don't know, showcase the strategic objective, yeah, like I don't know, reinforce the values of open science and its multinationality, connect the existing knowledge and expertise across the consortium, also to achieve the researcher centricity on open science practices. So basically, we designed some activities, some outputs, and some outcomes that can enable the university to adopt this open science framework. Next slide. For me, it's working with a delay. I don't know. Maybe, Irina, if you could change the slide, because
yeah, let me get
delay, it's a delay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a network delay.
This one's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry for that. Yeah.
I think this is the one. Yeah. So this strategic guide, as I said, aims to assist the educational institution. So we define basically three steps to the methodological approach, the phases of different phases of science, and we basically provide a case study for the universities to follow, to have a clear perspective of what they should achieve, let's say. So on the next slide, please. These adoption phases and institutional profiles was this one, the learning phase, yeah, that basically describe the activities that institution have to perform to gain the knowledge and cultivate the open science. The support phase basically refers to the actions aimed to create the necessary condition to harmonize the development of open science practices. And the growth, basically, the growth phase refers to the actions to increase the scale and diversity of the open science practices, and also depends on the strategic dimension of open science at each university. Depending on the level that they are, the partners had to carry out actions to basically that have matched to their own level, yeah, because this basically was based on the initial assessment that we have performed. Next slide. So we have defined three institutional profiles, like open science learners, achievers, and experiencer. Yeah, and based on that, we define some descriptors, yeah, can-do descriptors that are basically some statements describing the organizational behavior and actions, yeah, in a way that we can somehow quantify the evolution of the institution in the open science practices. Basically, these descriptors provide an overview of key features for the open science pillars. Also, we provide a guide to teach, to instruct the partners to how they can use the descriptors. Basically, we call this the open science journey. So they start from diagnosis, they go to planning, implementation, and the reassessment. Yeah, basically here in the last stage, basically you retake the open science survey, identify the progress and the sensitive areas, and you can basically reassess your open science level. And also you can reprofile your organization and take the necessary actions according to your current level, basically. So also we see here the tools that we use for reassessments, like open science methodological tweak. We provide to it an open science action plan. The descriptors were also provided, and so on. So basically, for each phase, we provide a set of tools that can be used. Another part of this open science framework was to build the open science network of ambassadors. So basically, each university has nominated a person to be part of this network. So you see here the open science ambassadors that have been nominated, and the main activities, let's say, that they are doing are related to open science practices. Yeah, like, I don't know, conduct if you can go to the next slide, please. They can conduct regular events like forums, workshop like this one. Also, they can design plans for different arrangements, to use various methods to communication, also to be partners with librarians, to support researchers regarding the open science community. Also, they can participate in EELISA Alliance exchanges. So this is mainly their role and their concerns. And the third main component that have been developed regarding the open science framework, it's the creation of innovative distributed open science training hub, which is mainly consists mainly in on a platform. Which in the center you see the open science catalog with courses in different dimensions of open science, and these courses are proposed by different universities from EELISA and could be, I think, third parties. Basically, it's an open platform, and each university hosts their own courses in their own Moodle instances, for instance, and the access mechanism it's provided by using the EduGain federation mechanism. Yeah. So this was the third, let's see, major components that have been developed in this open science framework. And you see here some courses that have been developed, proposed by different universities. See here from FAU, from Friedrich Alexander University, from Germany, also from UPM, UPB, also E2. We have now a total of 18 courses that can be joined. Yeah, but these courses have some basically are different type of courses like workshop, seminars, e-learning courses. So we have also e-learning courses that can each self-paced, and basically the student can, or the participant can take it on their own, basically. So I think this is the overview of our framework. Of course, there are a lot more to say about this, but thank you for your attention, and we can take question, I think, in the
yeah, I think in later on we'll have time for the table for the discussion, and I already have many questions. I see that we are all doing and proceeding in this direction.
My name is Mikko Mikkola. This is my first time in this meeting, so I'll introduce myself. I work as a senior specialist on research infrastructures here at Aalto University. I'm going to give a presentation about our open access policy for our significant research infrastructures. First, I'll give some background. What is Aalto University? What are our infrastructures, and what does the significant infrastructure mean? I'll spend at maximum 3 slides on that, and then I'll proceed to the actual policy. So let's try if the slide changes. Yeah, we are a public foundation university in southern Finland. We are 6 schools, 14,000 students, roughly 5,000 staff, and we're playing with a budget of little over 400 million euros a year. That was last year's numbers, and of which roughly 2/3 comes from government and EU sources. So we are playing with taxpayer money. We have lots of cool infrastructure, and we are spending roughly 40 million euros a year on infrastructures, depreciations, investments, so on, operating costs. And again, main sources are taxpayers, Research Council of Finland, Ministry of Education and Culture, and EU. And funders require openness for research infrastructures when they are provided or produced with taxpayer money. A couple of years ago, we were asked if we have an open access policy for our research infrastructures. We didn't, but we decided to craft one. We have 11 designated significant infrastructures that are like the spear tip of our research and artistic practices. They are well-resourced, well-managed, and they have a proven track records in their fields. And they are our most invaluable tools for teaching, learning, and research in our focus areas. And now I move on to the policy. And that concludes my presentation. I thank you for your attention. I wish things were this simple, but this is what we begin from. Everyone is welcome. Even if you're academic, if you're in the industry, if you represent some other party, you're welcome. But there are some limitations. Openness, open access doesn't mean that it's free. We do charge market prices since we're producing these services with taxpayer money. We can't disrupt the market. So we charge market prices from our external users. The cool thing is that we can provide services, device time at cost for other academic users who carry out non-economic activities like basic research. I have some supplementary material what a non-economic activities in the academic context mean, so you can read about it later. It's quite complex since EU is involved. And of course, training is required. We want to keep our facilities in good working order, so we want users to be skilled. And of course, we want that the results you get mean something. So trained, skillful users are, of course, absolutely necessary. We are purely selfish here. We prioritize our own research and teaching, and we sell out the capacity that is left over from our own use. So far, this has not caused any conflicts. Although we put in our best effort to ensure that we have support staff in each of our significant research infrastructures, we can't guarantee that every time an external user would like to use our facilities, we have support staff available. So we reserve the right to limit access if we don't have support staff available. Again, we have taken this caveat, but this has not caused any conflicts. Then another limitation. Any independent unit, for example, a single research infrastructure, can't sell out more than 20% of the total capacity before it turns into a business instead of side gig. And that is not in our best interest. It brings new requirements for us. So we keep that limitation there. So far, again, this has not been a problem. But there are some individual devices that are in very high demand, but fortunately, single device is just one part of the infrastructure. When there are more devices, then this averages over the whole unit. And final part is that we practice responsible international relations. We take, for example, sanctions. EU has imposed on some parties very seriously, and we track the affiliations of our external users very carefully. And if our legal team so advises, we limit access to dual-use technologies based on their recommendations. So this was, in a nutshell, our open access policy. I could have shown you a wall of text, which is the actual policy, but it is available on our website. And if these slides will be distributed later. I have included some supplementary material. First, there is a link to our research infrastructure list, and there's also a link to our open access policy. There is the very good publication from JRC about the state aid rules in research, development, and innovation. And should you wish to know more about me, I have the ego slide here. And that is my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions either now in chat or later when there's more time for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me try now just a second so that I also open up the presentation from Florentina that sent me over. I just need to open it also on this screen so I can share it. Okay, let's go back. Share the presentation. I think this should be the right one. Just to put it in the slideshow mode. Yeah, I think we are there. So Florentina, I can give you also the remote access if you want.
Yes, I have a short presentation about the Romanian Association of the Association of Romanian University Research and Development Institute and Central Library of Romania. Our university is part of this association, started with 208. In this moment, the association has 100 members, including universities, central university, libraries, and development research institute. The aim of this association, called ANELIS PLUS, is to represent the information and documentation interests of its members through the acquisition of electronic scientific information resources intended for education and research. The objectives are the negotiation and acquisition of electronic information and documentation resources, promoting the principle of open access to Romanian scientific publication, maintaining and developing the Romanian publishing platform, obtaining and managing the financial fund necessary for the acquisition of these resources. Also is involving in creating and managing a national repository containing archiving scientific information coming from the purchased electronic resources and scientific works of the association members. The next slide, if it's possible. Inside this association, developed a project called National Electronic Access to Scientific Literature for supporting the research and education system in Romania. The general objective of this project is to ensuring funding to access to electronic documentary information, to construction of virtual campus, to allow the Romanian scientific and educational community online access to resources and the national repository of documents that will be developed within the project, both through the acquisition of archives and through the contribution of scientific publication of the community academic from Romania. Ensuring mobile access both to online international publications and databases, as well as to the national document repository. Promotion at the national level of the initiative to develop an open access system to scientific publication and to publish in open access the result of the scientific research. Starting from 2024, in addition to the subscription to databases, a series of transformative agreements were concluded with the partner publishing house, agreement in which open access publication fees are included. Financial sustainability of the project is 75% represent state budget, money which come from Ministry of Research, Innovation and Digitalization, and 25% represent the member institution contribution. The next slide, please. The transformative agreement are the novelty, the newness in the project. These transformative agreements are contract negotiated and signed by the association in the name of the institution. This transformative agreement include the read and publish component in hybrid and full open access journals using APC, using fee of publication. Most commonly, APC is involved in providing papers in open access, full open access, or in hybrid journals. Our university is subscribed to a number of 24 scientific databases. We talk about multidisciplinary databases, specialized bibliometric databases, and analytical research and evaluation databases. The next slide. Part of the subscription to the mentioned database, the member of our scientific community have the possibility to publish open access their papers based on this transformative agreement signed by ANELIS PLUS with a number of 7 partner publishers. These partner publishers are Springer, Wiley, Royal Society of Chemistry, Cambridge University Press, Institute of Physics, Elsevier, IEEE. The complete number of articles published by UPB authors within the transformative agreement is available at the end of the year. Now I wrote here the number of the article published until August. The next slide. Together with our Open Science Ambassador, the Central Library of Polytechnic University developed an action outline for open science. Following the action proposed were engaged researchers, professors, librarians to participate and organize together a series of events called Awareness Day. We invited the representative of Association ANELIS PLUS, representative of publishing houses with which the transformative grant were concluded, member of the scientific community, librarians. By example, on February, we organized the workshop Information Open Access Day. On March, we organized the workshop Transformative Agreement Awareness Event. On April, we organized with IEEE on WebEx, get published under the IEEE and ANELIS PLUS Open Access Agreement. And on April, also other workshop transformative agreement awareness event publishing open access at Cambridge University Press. The aim of the aim of these events was to informing the authors about the transformative agreement, about the benefit of transformative agreement, to encouraging authors to publish in hybrid and full open access the result of their activity. And to present the opportunities that Romanian authors have to increase the visibility and the impact of their research by publishing through different open access methods available through IEEE Institute, Institute of Physics, Cambridge University Press, publisher partner in this project.
Thank you. I believe this is a last slide from your presentation. So thank you for that. I think we have one more presentation before we start our discussions, but let me again set the previous slides so that we have it. Let me see if we'll have the right slides. Yes.
Yes. Should I try to?
Let me try to give you the rights. You should got the request.
Think.
Yeah, should work. Thank you.
Okay. Great, thanks a lot. So my name is Antti Rousi, and my work at Aalto consists of I coordinate the Aalto's data stewardship team called Data Agents. But today I'm presenting on the behalf of a Unite work package former work package leader Ruben Vicente Saez about something that we did in the Unite project. I'll discuss some of the outputs that we did that might interest you, and then I'll briefly also introduce how we arrange open science training at Aalto and which affects Unite. But great. So Unite is a partnership of 7 universities. And actually the newer members are missing, so we are expanding. So this is a bit of an old slide, but you can see that we have Aalto, we have KTH from Stockholm, we have Technische University of Darmstadt, and University of Grenoble, Polytechnic of Torino, UPC at Barcelona, and University of Lisbon. So at work package 6 in the Unite project, we sought to identify and mainstream some of the best practices of open science and innovation in Unite university research teams, and we sought to understand, identify, and demonstrate mechanisms and inducers and inhibitors of open science and innovation, and so to create a new university open science and innovation governance model and policy. So that's something that I'll introduce to you today in just these few minutes, and how to explore this new governance model could contribute to solving grand societal challenges. So there were 3 main outputs in the project. The first was the strategic roadmap, which sort of led the open science initiatives at Unite level. And then the model is the handbook that I'll present to you. And then we also had a white paper that is sort of something. But this addresses, I think, a really interesting question on how we do open science management, both at institutions, but also perhaps on this university alliance level, which I found really interesting. So how could we sort of work together, and as the title of the session said, and to empower open science at universities. But if you haven't yet familiarized, this is the model or the handbook that we published as a part of the working group, and I'll just briefly introduce to you. It's available in Senado. I can maybe link it later on. You can see and find it out. So basically, I'll talk about the data, which is quite extensive in my view. It has the state of art, which is sort of the results. State of art is the results of the qualitative research done there, and which shows you like what did we find. And then we have the 4th section, which is recommendations, which is sort of what this was mostly generated to interviews of service personnel, like how to adopt the open science practices in our view, or in the Unite personal's review. So I'll shortly introduce to you some of the sections, and I sort of hope you find this work interesting. So for the data, we had there were 70 research teams all across Europe, which I think is a quite good number of. So there's a lot of qualitative data behind this. And so the basic methodology was just to interview the team leaders and participants on their views on open science. But I think what makes it quite special is that it was the interviews were done in 7 different European universities with over 70 groups. So that's, I think, a considerable amount. But then to the so that the results. So I think what you'll find is, because I believe you are very familiar with open science and you understand the what it means. So how this work expands these, I think what I would consider more like what I usually do, like the way I usually view things, and that also includes these open collaborative practices within an institution, and also these in and outbound open innovation practices. So it's perhaps I would like to see it as a more holistic view on organizational culture and change, like than perhaps most of the things that I run into within my work. So I think that's maybe the strength of the work. So for instance, there was the transdisciplinary research practice with emerging academics was one of the findings. So this is an open collaborative practice within an institution. So this was one of the sort of findings, and I think this kind of more holistic approach might be something that you find interesting as open science experts. And yes, and then also these novel open innovation practices that sort of, as you'll see the full model soon, they sort of surround the open sharing practices that we are quite familiar of. But I hope this sparks your interest. And shortly about the recommendations. So these are also like, as I described earlier, then we also interview people working in the libraries and research services and kind of get the recommendation on how to then do these things in practice. So maybe you can also see these if they align with, this should be quite familiar to you, I think. Like, but yeah, to summarize, I think the strength of the work is that it looks like also inwards with the open collaborative practices, but also outwards with the open exploration and inbound open exploration. So it kind of broadens a bit the idea of this open sharing practices that we are quite familiar of. So this might be of your interest in such. But I'll share you the link so you can then see if you find this interesting. And again, it's really interesting to see how then we can work on these topics on a university alliances level, which is somewhat uncharted territory, at least in my opinion. Like how could we better work together within Europe and elsewhere. But yes, and I like to introduce something that's sort of are related to this alliance thinking. For instance, if you are like the data stewards of Aalto run this open and free training, like they're all online events, so anyone can join. And I can invite all people in this meeting, so you can also join them if you like, if you're interested in see how we do training. So we included them in the University Alliance. It's similar to what in Catalin's presentation, like these are open and they are also provided to the alliance universities, which they can use, but anyone can. So it would be really fun to see also to create the connections with you here as well, and to learn more about your training. But I think there's been, so this just then the voice work package members are also listed here as the final slide who helped to create the handbook, so you can see their names here. But I think that's all for me. Thank you very much, and I look forward to the discussion later.
Yeah, thank you. Perhaps I'll invite now the moderator for the roundtable. I think that we have one more colleague that is joining for the roundtable. Before we start with the discussions, Esteban, do you want to address this, perhaps?
Yeah, for sure. We have a very nice panel, okay, of very representative people from different domains and different also profiles. And I think it's quite interesting. We have librarians, we have data managers, computer scientists, etc. Okay, so I think we will have a very rich discussion. So Irena, I don't know if it's possible to access to the results in Menti, because I really like to know the opinion of the people about for example, the first question.
Yes, I think we can try to find Menti back. And yeah, I'll be sharing the screen. So also to those that are still want to share some ideas with us, can do that. Yeah. So I think you should be able to see the Menti. So just to go back to see the distribution, we said, it's going to be librarians, data managers, and colleagues that are otherwise engaged. And for those that still want to add something, in the top layer, you have access code to Mentimeter. So if you go to menti.com and add this number, you should be able to join us with your questions and topics that we can address now in the discussion.
Yeah, also, I think that we have time. So probably someone from the panel wants to comment something about this question or even give their opinion. So I'm going to give the floor to Burcu Bulut, okay, because he's one of the I want to invite to this panel Burcu Bulut, okay, from the Technical University of Istanbul. So what do you think? Why do you think open science is important, Burcu?
Thank you so much for all these nice presentations. Now there is a lot to check after the meeting. It is not a very difficult question for me because we all want the same thing as open science advocates. At the first step, I would like to see scientific information accessible to everyone who needs. This is the main idea of open science, I believe, transparency. But also it is very important to reach different technological infrastructures and use joint systems instead of paying twice for same infrastructures. It's same for data, you know. Today we have, I believe, an economic crisis around the world. And it means that we are now, we need open science much more than previous years, because it means that, yes, we have lots of funders who would like to support researchers from all disciplines. But if we don't open our data and if we don't open them in a fair way, it means that similar studies will done at different countries in the worldwide. It means that we need to pay more. And it means that if we don't open our data, if we don't share our outputs, it means that the ones who really need, for example, farmers from Africa who would like to make production without water, they have limited access to information, but also they have limitation to reach water, and they need to know how can they produce without water. But we know that lots of researchers from different institutions are working on this, but it doesn't matter if they do fantastic work if they don't share everything with the ones who need it, like the African farmers. And this is not limited with farmers, but also all kind of people who are in need of information related to have a better life, better conditions. For now, I can say all these.
Yeah, I agree. But also you mentioned about this collaboration, no, between the different institutions, no. But I think it happens also in the same institution, okay? Because
yes,
you don't know, for example, people from other departments are doing the same than you, okay? So
yes, that is why to be open, during the whole research period is so important. You know, I know that lots of European countries, researchers now using their blogs before they are starting a new research team, you know, because they want to be sure that any of the person from their own institutions or outside to their institutions, if they are working on the same subject, they may collaborate, or one of them can put an additional information to ongoing one. There is no need to send everything again and again with paying lots of money. That's not just for money issues, but it is also for same for the human power. You know, the time is very, very important for us. That it is not just money, but time is also important. There is no need to do the same research with different from different parts of the world, and there is no need to pay for the same products, for the same machines, for the same infrastructures, you know, because we have open resources. We have open infrastructures, and it is very easy to see each other's works and use the same data and put on it.
Thank you, Burcu. So I think we have a question in the chat, to Miko. I don't know, Miko, if you want to comment something about this question.
Okay, I just read the question.
Yeah.
I think that the primary motivation to creating this open access policy came from funders. They were asking for it, and also there was, well, again, quite a selfish reason. There was this national study about open access practices in universities, and they were scoring universities based on different levels of open access. And we received higher points in that review after we created this open access policy. So that was the very mundane motivation. But of course, I think that's the motivation of sharing the infrastructures, the capabilities with the people who paid for them, i.e. We are using taxpayer money, so we are responsible, and wasting the extra time we have, or unused time, is just irresponsible use of money, in my opinion. And for example, the startup community in Finland has employed our resources quite a lot. It's a big thing for a semiconductor startup to buy all the production lines for prototyping. And for a fraction of that price, they can use our facilities and develop the products before they move on to full scale. And for me, it just makes sense. I don't think it's you could put this as a next step or previous step. It's just one of the steps, one of the operations towards open science, opening our research infrastructures. Does that answer your question, Elena?
Thanks a lot, Miko. Yes.
Any other question or comment about Miko said or Burcu? No? So I think we can move to the next question. Irena, please. So the next question is about what are the biggest challenges researchers face when adopting open science practices, and how can institutions and funding agencies help overcome? So who wants to be a volunteer to respond to these questions? What are the biggest challenges? I have many challenges. For example, I'm going to start. For me, one of the biggest challenges is how to combine the perspective of the librarians, library services, that they are more focused on open science, and how to integrate, for example, open data, software, etc., and the tools that you need to do it. Okay. I think it's quite interesting. So maybe I'm going to give the floor to Mikko. So Mikko, please.
Thank you again. I have two small comments on this. I think that the biggest challenges for research is that opening researchers' science requires time and effort. And usually postdocs, doctoral researchers, they are short on time. They are under enormous pressure to graduate in time. And the second that maybe affects the motivation is that it's few and far between are the occasions when opening science benefits you directly right now. Other people reap the benefits down the road when you have opened science. It's not you, but it's the community. And that mindset of this does not benefit me right now might be a limiting factor for opening science.
Yeah, exactly. I think the reward always is the most complicated thing, because for rewarding, you have to change, at least for example, in my institution, you have to change this. How can you evaluate the professor? How can you evaluate the students? So I think it's a very quite difficult thing to do, no? So I'm going to give the word to Burcu. So Burcu, please.
Thank you so much. Before this session, I thought about our previous open science trainings at METU, because today I want to share not only my professional knowledge or the results of academic work, but also feedbacks from researchers from their daily research processes. During the trainings that I mentioned, we have different titles like Introduction to Open Science, Open Access Publishing, Proprietary Journals, and like Open Data. Open Data is a beginner level one. All sessions usually start with questions about the costs of openness. Who pays the APC? What happens if the publisher has a quota for read and publish agreements? Quality issues follow, especially predatory publishers, and how to avoid from them is main question. There are also questions about licensing. Sometimes it can be difficult for researchers to understand the type of Creative Commons licenses if they are not very familiar with the terms and of course the culture of openness. When we come back to issue of cost, there is the issue of inequality in publishing. At some point, the author has to pay for it, but not all countries have equal opportunities. As you know, there are parity issues in some countries like Turkey because of their currencies. Although researchers' salaries are limited, it is not an issue that publishers care much about. Sometimes the World Bank's country classification does not reflect the real economic conditions of a country. Of course, at this stage, national and international funders, including universities, are trying to support researchers with open access costs. However, they face two difficulties. First, budget constraints, and second, awareness. During trainings, we try to include the conditions of open access publishing and the opportunities offered to researchers in projects, but sometimes we realize that we cannot reach everyone in the university. If we are questioning how to solve the mentioned problems above, my answer is awareness training. Of course, the training of trainers is also important. The open science environment is moving very quickly. Sometimes we may not be able to read everything. We may not be able to learn the new and different conditions presented. But from the librarian side, I can say that we need to update ourselves daily. It means that, to answer your question, funders alone cannot solve problems. Collaboration from all stakeholders is essential. Before concluding, I would like to highlight the inconsistencies between the national policies of higher education boards that universities undertake to comply with and the implementation of open science practices and policies. Of course, such challenges are the most difficult to solve, but I believe that it doesn't mean it's impossible. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Katalin?
Thank you, Stefan. Yeah, I agree with all the points raised here. But besides the efforts that researchers have to done, basically adopting open science practices, and also beside the cost, I think there is a resistance of the researcher to open science practices, especially if we think about open access and open review. Yeah, can be intimidating because if you, as a researcher, you are exposed to the entire world. I don't know, if you make a mistake, everyone could see it. So you somehow you think twice when you decide to public open access. The same it's in the case of the open review, because if your reviews are open, basically you are exposed totally, and you have to be very careful. That's why it's important. Yeah, the efforts are important here because it's raised exponentially. You don't want to get messed up to everyone to laugh at you because you don't pay attention to, I don't know, something. And also basically this implies also the cost, because you have to somehow incentivize and reward basically all these efforts and the researchers that have decided to adopt and involve in these open science practices. So this is, I think this is another challenge, the resistance of the researchers, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Katalin. Well, I think to be exposed is good for science. I don't know for scientists,
Yeah, for science,
for science
but
is good.
from the personal perspective, could be intimidating, especially if you have, you know, early stage researcher or PhD. Yeah.
No, well, it's part of the job. So, Antti, yeah.
Yes, what Esteban asked really resonated with me. So I sort of I think there's a lot of work also like to be done, because a lot of the problems that we face are sort of multidisciplinary, where you need librarians and you need lawyers and you need IT. So I think, and if we can work seamlessly together and the sub-organization can trust one another, then we can reduce the cost of open science. But that's like we need to do also, I feel like there's much to do within also this service organizational kind of culture and change. So I don't have the magic wand, or I don't have the kind of the recipe on how to do this, but I think that's also key. Like we should also look inwards and see that, okay, we have to work better. People who do data management have to be familiar with privacy notices and how to structure the privacy notices so that the data sharing becomes so if I ever solve how this can be done, I'll let you know. But it's quite difficult. But there's work on in that aspect as well, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a cultural change, but it surprised me to me because there are many European projects that they are working everything to doing guidelines, recommendations. They are producing a lot of documents, but there is no unification of this document, or just because the people just only need like 3 points or 4. Well, not 3, okay, but 5, 6 points to put in motion everything. Okay, so it surprised me to me, no, the diversity, no, of strategic plans, etc. Okay, so yeah. So maybe we can move to the second questions, because we have 2 more, and I want to address everyone. So yeah, so in what ways can open science practices enhance the collaboration between universities and research facilities, and how can this collaboration accelerate the production of science? So what is your opinion? Any volunteer? Maybe Mikko. Yeah, Pursu, go ahead.
We cannot
You're
hear
mute.
you. You're muted.
Yeah, I recognize. I am so sorry. I am so excited to answer the question, so I forgot it. So sorry. I truly believe in the power of communities. So, Antti, you don't need to fight everything by yourself. We are together. So it is a fact that we started to move faster after ITU became part of ELISA European University. Also, this is our motto within the ELISA Open Science community, stronger together. I believe that the philosophy of European Universities initiative has a lot in common with the philosophy of open science. We all want to bring greater benefits to higher education institutions. We offer inclusivity, diversity, and equity. Based on my comments on the first discussion question, I would like to remind that it is difficult to reach all researchers with limited human resources. But with joint trainings, both the researcher and the trainer can benefit from the community they are in. At this point, shared training platforms and resources are the most valuable things we can benefit from. In addition, such collaborations are a door to new projects that provide solutions to the challenges encountered. For example, after the Miko's presentation, we started to discuss on these open access policy for research infrastructures thing, you know. As Elena said, I haven't heard it before, but now I heard it and I am ready to think on it and discuss on it with different stakeholders, with any of you. Sometimes there may be difficulties that need to be discussed at institutional or national level, because during the ELISA InnoCORE studies, we recognized that because of the legal issues, because of the regulations, we may have problems with these joint studies. But as I mentioned again previously, we can find a point to solve it. But anyway, we need to share, discuss, and learn to act together, to share good practices, even if only to find recognized obstacles, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the training is really, really important. And also the university, the students of universities are the future scientists that they are going to work in these research facilities or research infrastructure. Okay, I think this is clear, but I've seen that there is too many resources about training. If you're just looking for in Zenodo or just in Google, you will see a lot of information, and I think it's a little bit overwhelming. Okay, so I would like to know, and I would like to know your opinion, is about how can we make this collaboration more easily to the people who has to participate in these trainings. Okay? Maybe Miko can share the experience of Aalto University with this with the research infrastructure. So Miko.
As far as I know, we have hosted external users at our research infrastructures. We created this policy just to formalize the ways we've been doing things and maybe encourage some of the other infrastructures here to open access. I don't really know how to answer the question itself. This has been just the way we work for a long time. And when we have motivated staff who are excited about the facilities they have, they are just happy to share the good news.
Esteban, I add something to that, coming from the research infrastructure myself?
For sure. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think what Miko said now, I think it's important. I think we have several researchers at the universities. They are not so familiar what research infrastructure does. Even though that we have, as you pointed out, several trainings, I think still on national level, awareness raising is low. And what I also see is that that we trained researchers on how to do methodology and how to collect data, but how to prepare outputs for open science, it's still a bit unknown. And I think this is something that we are now looking into, that many of the trainings and documents that you presented today will help. but it still needs to get to the head of all the researchers. I think it will be, you know, kind of a half of the generation that will change, that people will get aware of that. But it is the case that research infrastructures and facilities are not something that all researchers would use. They know of some, but not of all. And I think, yeah, it's this visibility and inclusion in different trainings, like that you also can include the use cases of how to put something in data repository, how to put something in data code repository, how you can use that on national level would really benefit, because these collaborations between the research infrastructures and university in different teaching activities, I think, is also really something that we are looking forward in the future. Yeah, just my few cents.
Yeah, it perfectly sense. Okay, and I think we need some ways to harmonize, no, this training material. We will try to harmonize these guidelines. For sure, there is some particularities in some specific research infrastructure or even in universities, but I think we need to try to go to one specific place every all the world, no, to some specific place. So I don't know if you have any more comments about this question. Would you like to comment something? Florentina, maybe want to participate with the librarian hat, no?
Maybe the author has a little afraid in what concerned the license. In online, they have to choose one of the Creative Commons license, and they come, by example, to library and say, what kind of Creative Commons license I have to choose? And they say, oh, you have 7 or 8 type of Creative Commons, starting with the most permissive until the most restrictive. And maybe this is the reason for which the author are a little bit not very convinced when they have to publish open access.
Yeah. Just back again to the training, no? The importance of the training.
Yes,
they're not just only for the student, but also for the staff, no? Of the different facilities and universities.
About the author rights.
Hmm.
There are there are legislation about the intellectual property, about the author rights, and they have to popular, yes.
Yeah, it's always dangerous, no? The lawyers. Forgive me, there is some lawyer in the room, okay? But yeah, it's always complicated to manage all this kind of information. Yeah, Burcu?
I just would like to support your idea about volume of training materials, training resources. Yes, you're right. There are a lot, but you know, it depends from institution to institution and author to author, because it's much more related with the culture of the university, to how to present the current information as well as Florentina said. But the issue is that Creative Commons licenses never change, you know. So we can focus on, for example, this kind of main and basic issues for joint trainings, you know, because as we always say, and I will probably say for the next question, the answer is all the time awareness training. You know, it is so important, but we don't need to survive within all these resources. We should come together and decide which kind of titles can be jointly presented to the researchers and what kind of content can be served by universities themselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we are going to move to the final question. So Irena, please, what are the best strategies for recognizing and rewarding researchers who practice open science? And this is something related with Miko Rice in the first question. So maybe Miko, you want to say something about it? How can we I don't know, create this strategy to do it. Okay, I think there is some initiatives like Coara that they are working on that. Okay, but I would like to know your opinion.
I don't know. My brute force approach would be to make this a requirement. We are still a place of employment, and we could use employers' right to direct work and just create a requirement there. So you don't graduate, you don't get your degree if you don't fulfill requirements. There are other requirements for doctoral candidates. Well, we could make this one also one of those.
Yeah, I fully agree also with this. Yeah, totally. Katalin?
Yeah, regarding this this question, we during InnoCORE we have basically dealing with this type of problems and questions, and we actually, I think we have a deliverable. How can we incentivize and reward the researchers to adopt open science practices? And one of the measures, I think one of it's to assure them funding sources to publish open science first. Then I don't know, to give them points. I think, for instance, for the self-assessment annual sheet, yeah, to get some points. I don't know, that can be used in career development, yeah, further. Basically, to motivate them to adopt, mainly to publish open science, including the preprints, to share the data and so on. Also, to create at the level of the university, especially for projects, yeah, the data repository to publish the data set resulted from the projects, basically to create an infrastructure around these outputs of research. Of course, it's about money here, and it's about basically it's a strategy. Basically, this has to come from the top management, yeah, and have to be implemented. And also, yeah, it could be some parts of some measures can be imposed, even, yeah, to somehow move the researchers to go in that direction. Because, as I said previously, anyone doesn't have time, and you don't want to spend time to, I don't know, to clean your data, to publish as a fair data set, yeah, you have to, for instance, the university should provide, data stewards, for instance, yeah, librarians and so on. So basically the infrastructure around data science should be improved as a main strategy. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think at least I think it's clear to me this strategy, this combination between the incentives, we can say, and requirements. Okay. Yeah, I fully agree. So, any other comment? Okay, so I think so. Basically, I think in this discussion they raised some very interesting topics, like, for example, the motivation. I think is quite important. But for the motivation, it's not just only a social motivation that I'm going to recognize your work. Okay, fantastic, you recognize my work, but the researchers, they have some necessities, no? Like use of research infrastructure. So maybe they can access to research infrastructure if they are working in following open science policies, or we saw also that this is important to have some training material to train not just only students, okay, and researchers, but also the administrative staff, no, the library service. They need to know the new developments, the new output like data, even with software, no, that is not too much people are familiar with the software, and it is really, really important also to publish the software together with the data. And the publication itself, because well, the software, data, and the publications are the ways to make your research reproducible, no? And you can share with another researchers around the world that they can replicate your research, okay? And also, as Burcu mentioned before, okay, it's a transparency layer, okay? So everybody can see the work that you are doing, that is working, okay, and they can use it, okay? And even the society can see that the taxes that they are pay and goes to these research infrastructures and these universities just come back to the society. Okay, I think this is important. So I don't know if you have any other comment that you want to do before finishing this workshop. No?
I will
So,
only add
yeah.
that what we had seen today, that open science costs, that we need support activities, and I think this is something that we see many times. Research is being financed, different research elements, but sometimes support actions are not that well financed. And also, Miko, as you added, in your presentations, if you don't have money and if you don't have personnel, you will not be able to really help all of these researchers. So yeah, I think this is something that is there. So Esteban, if you want to add something, and then I'll just wrap the session.
No,
also.
I just only want to do special thanks to all the participants in the round table and also in the whole presentation. I think they were very, very, very nice and very interesting for us. I have to say, I also want to thanks to Irena and the people from the Ljubljana University for the support, for organizing this workshop and give us all the infrastructure to do it. Okay. Just finalize to say that well, we will share all the resources that you share with us. We will produce probably a report, so we will share with the community this report, and you will find the conclusions of this workshop. So thank you very much, and Irena, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. As Esteban had said, we will share the slides, but also you will see a public report, and we will add some of the links also in there. So for those that will not be joining us through the Facebook community, you will have access to them there. I would also like to thank Esteban to put these all together, and all the colleagues that join us for the discussion. I think it's open discussion, and I see that we have this discussion in the research infrastructure, not level of EOSC even, but also I see universities always have challenges for all of that. I would just like to wrap up saying that our next meeting is most likely going to take place at the beginning of November. The topic will be announced in the next 2 weeks. I think I have it already somewhere, but I need to polish it with the organizers and everything. But do try to join us, or at least see the recordings and everything that will be available also there. And as we already mentioned at the beginning, we are putting everything on our Facebook page, but you can also follow us on the Retrain Plus community of practice. And I'm certain these kind of events and discussions of open science will follow also in the future. So thanks everyone for joining and follow us, and keep working on all the best things for open science. Thank you.